was pulling into the driveway and got to the point to where I was going to back up to turn it around, there was 3 kids come running out of the garage. They looked from oldest to youngest. They were 7, 8 years old, and the youngest one looked about 3 or 4. As soon as they come running out, I just went ahead and stopped the truck, parked it right there. Got out, went and read the meter, came back, and I noticed that the 2 older kids were standing right at the end of the garage there, and I didn't see the youngest one. So I walked around the back of the truck, and the little 3-year-old, she was squatted down behind the truck, and she was giggling. And so I walked up to her and I said, "Come on, sweetie, I need you to go stand over here. I don't want to hurt you. If I run over, it's going to hurt you." So I led her back over there with, I'm assuming it was her brother and sister, and left her there with them. Went back to the truck, got inside and dropped it down in reverse, and I looked back out the window towards the garage, and it was just the 2 older ones standing there again. So I asked them, I said, "Did the little girl go inside?" And they just looked at me like they didn't hear me or know what I was saying. So I asked them again, I said, "Is the little girl back in the house, or is she in the garage?" And they just turned and looked at each other like, they didn't know what language I was speaking. So I put the truck back in park and got out, walked back behind the truck, and she was right there again, squatted down, giggling. And so at that time I walked through the garage to the door and knocked on the door, and I'm assuming it was the mother. She came to the door and she was talking on her telephone, and I told her, I said, "Ma'am, I'm needing to leave your driveway, and the little girl out here keeps running behind my truck." And you could tell it was aggravating, that it aggravated her, and I'll never forget what she said when she walked out and saw the little girl. She said, "You've got to quit doing that," like it was a habit of hers or something. I'll never forget she said that. And so she went and got the girl and just took them all in the house, and then I left. And it really shook me up. Luckily there was only about 20 or 30 minutes left in the day, because for the rest of the day my hands were really shaky. Couldn't really concentrate on what I was doing because I just thought about it so much, because it had reminded me of something that happened when I was really, really young to a family member of mine. My uncle and my 4-year-old cousin, Amanda, were living with my grandparents. Amanda was at that age where, she wanted to be involved with everything. She loved her grandparents, especially her grandfather. Always wanted to hug and kisses, before you left. He was one of those. He worked in the oil field, and he got up real early in the morning. It had become a ritual. She would get up and eat breakfast with him. She'd sit in his lap while he ate breakfast, and he got done eating and she got down and told him that, she had to go to the bathroom. He turned to my grandmother and he said, "Well, I can't wait on her, I've got to go." He never was late. And he went outside and he started the truck up, and Amanda heard the truck start, and she came running out of the bathroom and she was hollering, "I didn't get kisses, I didn't get kisses." And my grandmother was at the sink, putting dishes away and washing them, and she was out the door. Well, my grandmother followed her outside, or was trying to catch up with her, and my grandfather had started backing out, and they met as he rounded the corner, she rounded the corner. He felt a jolt and a bump, and it was just barely light outside, you could barely see. And he said that he looked in his side mirror and he could see something gray rolling. He assumed that it was one of his many pails that he had stacked all over the place, and he took off. My grandmother tried to flag him down after seeing what had happened, and it was too late. He was gone. And it took them a little over 3.5 hours to find him in the oil fields to let him know that he had just killed his granddaughter. And after that, he was He was never the same. I believe I was 5 years old when it happened, and it's a pretty drastic change as a 5-year-old when you noticed someone isn't the same anymore. Very seldom spoke. He was never the same, ever. I didn't really think of that, of Amanda, until I actually saw her behind the truck. I mean, it was just an immediate flash in my head, and especially the second time, that was the scariest. I mean, that literally made my knees weak, and you know, it was scary, because if I'd have just taken it for granted that surely she didn't go back behind the truck, surely if she was, her brother and sister would be saying something, hey, stop, or watch what you're doing. I knew I was just one assumption away from not just changing the outcome of my life, but of a little girl's life, of her parents' life, her brother and sister, her grandparents. It was scary because it almost happened.